Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Saturday, the 11th of May 2024. And in today's news, we have this piece from The Guardian. Not very often you'll see me bring up The Guardian, but there you go. From the Guardian.com. Biscuit Town to Mega Towers. Millwall win a modern land battle in Bermondsey. The club has been awarded a 999-year lease on the new den and its surrounds, bringing down the curtain of a few fraught years. And here you go, they've got this graphic. Don't know if they got AI to make this or what. I know David Littleton. Very clever. You see, you got the den, and then it's got the end. Very clever that. But for the life of me, I can't figure out why Banana Man's in there. Who's that? Is that supposed to be? Is that Peter the Savary? Is he Banana Man? I don't know. Weird. I don't know. Banana Man. Marvel. Stop making rubbish movies with females in them. Get Banana Man. Let's get a Banana Man movie. Bit of nostalgia. And the laughing lion on the baseball cap. Nice. So, Bermondsey has always been a bit fluid, ever-changing kind of place, shoved up into a bend of the Thames, surrounded on all sides, but also oddly isolated. For hundreds of years, that whole strip of land south of the city should be capitalised there, was an interlude of leisure and licentiousness. In his biography of London, Peter Ackroyd mentions, I've read that, bear pits, stew houses and pleasure gardens, plus a flourishing grassroots industry of cut purses and dandy highwaymen, a place where flashy women come out to take leave of thieves at dusk and wish them luck. Industrialization brought docks and factories. A grid of streets was laid that still leads in a tangle towards the river rather than fanning out in the standard residential grid. Through all of these changes, people have seemed to want to give Bermondsey new names. It was called London's Lather, then Biscuit Town as Peak Friends. Sarsons and Hartleys arrived. To this day, a vinegar-soaked digestive biscuit smeared with jam remains a local delicacy. Does it? I've never heard of that. Does anyone watching this, do you eat that? You get a digestive biscuit, you soak it in vinegar, and then you put jam on it. Never heard of that. I have heard, when I was a kid, putting butter on digestive, not a bob, we had spread, this margarine, putting that on a digestive biscuit, and eating that. And sometimes you do that and you'll put two together, of course, along with sugar sandwiches. Yes, indeed, sugar sandwiches. Who remembers that? During the Blitz, the Luftwaffe renamed the docks Target Area G, pretty much putting a cap on all that light industry. But even as Bermondsey assumes its latest speculative identity as New Bermondsey, a land of shiny cash-in high-rises, those ghosts are still there, made over into Pickle Factory Mansions, Vinegar Plaza, and Jammy Dodger Heights. It is a process of assimilation that can now be applied to Millwall Football Club, another part of Bermondsey's history that will, as of this week, get to remain in place while the neighbourhood is repackaged around it. This is a piece of good news. At a meeting of Luton Council on Wednesday night, the club was awarded a new 999-year lease on the den and its surrounds. It is a major staging point in Millwall's modern history and a good moment for the council too, led by the new mayor Brenda Dacus, who is a good egg. It also brings down the curtain on a few fraught years during which the club was threatened at one point with relocation to Kent if it lost that slice of land. This is probably worth a recap because it was kind of wild at the time. A story of offshore trusts, gentrification, Tony Blair, community resistance, the remaking of London, and the basic notion of how cash sluicing mega cities are supposed to work now. Talking about moving to Kent, is it Ebbsfleet or Gravesend? they got permission to build a 9,000 seat stadium on the river down that way. So, and I think they were trying to get planning permission at the same time as us, as all of this was going on, and people put two and two together and said, "Oh, look, we're going to be moving out to there." Well, that's not happening, is it? Luton's plan to compulsory purchase Millwall's car park, all the better to pass it on to a property developer. At first serviced in 2012, it was covered in the local press and on supporter message boards. It rumbled on vaguely. The emergent details became more interesting. The developer Renewal had never done anything like this before. Its ultimate ownership was hidden behind the veil in the British Virgin Islands. One of its original directors was, hang on a minute, the previous Labour Mayor of Lewisham, Dave Sullivan, who denied having any part in the scheme. Meanwhile, the then Labour Mayor of Lewisham, Steve Bullock, had already given £500,000 of public money to a renewal-based charity set up to Gloucester development. This thing was like an onion. The more you peeled it, the more it stunk. Many people were engaged in digging into those layers. Mickey Simpson of the AMS supporters group and Nick Hart of the Acton Millwall podcast led an expertly pitched social media campaign. An improbable cast began to intersect an ex-Tory minister, the British Virgin Islands, Gary Lineker, Danny Baker, Jeremy Corbyn, a surprisingly supportive Tim Farron, the fabled Swiss Tony, a freelance financial expert who simply cannot be called off. Funny stuff happened. The charitable trust was registered at a fictional Acacia Road, also the home address of banana-chomping cartoon superhero Eric Wimp, leading to Bullock being dubbed Mayor Banana Man. At least one Millwall fan would travel to the playoff final at Wembley dressed as a banana for reasons that made a lot of sense at the time. Oh, so that's why that's there. I didn't get that. Missed that at the time. Banana Man. I remember the TV show, the cartoon. Lewisham Town Hall was besieged by flag-waving fans and rolling news cameras for a key planning meeting. We put up a pro-Millwall candidate in the general election, Willow Winston, a local artist and one of those threatened with eviction, who ended up on national television talking about communities being destroyed and retaining London's human architecture. And finally, the scheme was altered. A minor piece of local infrastructure management that was met with celebration and national media coverage. A subsequent independent inquiry found there had been no impropriety in the council's handling of the proposed compulsory purchase. Why did it catch fire like this? Some will shrug at Millwall's notoriety, a club with a reputation that reflects many urban problems of the past half-century. No club racks up quite as many demerit points, all of them eagerly reported. No club does more to engage with and address issues in its local area, led by a really good community trust. Various tectonic plates meet in places like these. Millwall can be a muster point for the tensions that arise, but if we are interested in resolving some of them, then this is a good place to make it happen. Certainly the connection between supporters and the club is particularly visceral. This is in part because it is historically and familial, a link to the docks, the working class communities of parents and grandparents, and to a London that is for many now unaffordable and cut off, a place of shiny closed services, and a process that has continued in the meantime. For the club, the future now looks wide open. The new lease is a very good thing. The recent death of the much beloved chairman and benefactor John Berylson was a major blow, but the Berylson family have retained ownership, and the club is instantly more viable with its new lease, which removes the old restrictions on developing land around the stadium. Can you see where this is going now? Feel the creeping irony? People have often tried to build things here. In the late 1970s, the then chairman unveiled plans for a super den that would have included the impossible glamour, an Asda, and a bowling alley. There were protests, the super den, the shining den on the hill, and it never happened. London is relentlessly hungry now. Renewal still got to build an amended development, and someone is now going to develop that land around Millwall. It will, it turns out, be Millwall. There are mocked-up images of vast looming edifices. A 10-acre strip is earmarked for a 45-floor mega tower. The thing that will finally modernise Millwall is Millwall. Other things are also moving. 2 days after the new lease was unveiled, with a glowing statement from the long-standing CEO Steve Kavanagh, it was announced that the long-standing CEO Steve Kavanagh would be leaving, along with various other figures in the hierarchy. These things will progress under new leadership. Who knows exactly what the future will hold? I realised a while back my own interest in scrutinising every redevelopment scheme was in part nostalgic. Bermondsey remains one of central London's few non-homogenised spaces. The old unmapped energy is still there, just about. The journey in the past few decades has been towards flushing out all of this urban wilderness to become a single mass of monetised land. It will happen now in the chopped up remains of Biscuit Town, but with Millwall still at its heart, and this is as close to a victory as anyone was ever going to get. There you go. Yeah, change is inevitable. You cannot prevent change. Change is coming. It's whether you are the one that is driving it or you are the one that is happening to. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. It's happening. It's gonna happen. So, do you steer it to where you can be in amongst it, or do you King Canute it and just try and turn back the waves, and you know that that's not gonna happen? One thing I did think, not while reading this, but the other day after everything that's gone on, is that Millwall being a part of this, it kind of it makes the rest of it it's an anchor to the rest of the redevelopment. Because if they just cleared everything out and then built all this other stuff with nothing that was there before still being there, then it like they said, it would just be weird. It wouldn't feel right. It would just be off. The fact that they're gonna have Millwall in the middle of it while all this stuff gets built around it, where you feel it's gonna have a connection to the past that can then be threaded through to the future. So there you go. Now to not to the next 1,000 years, but to next year. The table. Who's going to be in the championship with us next season? Burnley. Burnley are officially relegated, and almost certainly Luton. So we've got another 2 teams basically. Now Luton, they are technically relegated, but not officially, not because of any minus points from anyone doing any funny business. It's because there's one more game to go in the Premier League. This is the Premier League table from bbc.co.uk, the current one as of recording. If Luton win their last game and Nottingham Forest lose their last game, they will need to overcome a 22 goal difference. So they would need a swing of 22 goals. So Luton Town win their next game 11-0 and Nottingham Forest lose their next game 11-0, then they would stay up. And obviously that is absolutely fucking absurd. So they're effectively relegated. So much so that someone has edited the Wikipedia and put them in the table for next season's Championship 24-25. So far, here we go. We've got Blackburn Rovers, Bristol City, Burnley, Cardiff City, Coventry City, Derby County, Hull City, Luton Town, Middlesbrough, Millwall, Plymouth Argyle, Portsmouth, Preston North End, Queen's Park Rangers, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke City, Sunderland, Swansea City, Watford and Sheffield United, who start the season on -2 points, so they are bottom of the table. There are 4 places left to be decided. One of those places will be taken up by either Bolton Wanderers or Oxford United, and if I were to guess, I would say, based on what I've been watching on the television, I would recommend that Bolton will be winning that game. They seem to be a lot better than Oxford. Oxford kind of just struggled to get their way through a poor Peterborough side, to be fair. But you never know. So it's either Bolton or Oxford. Do we want Oxford because they're in the south? It's an easier one to get to. Have we played Oxford at their new ground yet? I'm not too sure. Apparently they're trying to build a new ground already. They want to move already. Their ground's not even that old, but there you go. And then the 3 other places will be taken up by the teams that are in the current this year's Championship playoffs. So who would that be? Was it Leeds, Southampton, Norwich or West Brom? So 3 of them are going to stay down, 1 of them is going to go up. So there you go, it's nearly done and dusted. Now, talking of teams next season, Coventry have announced that they will be building safe standing in time for next season. I haven't brought the story up, but I brought this up. This is a website called standunited.uk tracker. It's a safe standing tracker. Safe standing is basically standing. It's not like the old terraces that still persist in League 1 and League 2 because they don't have the requirement to be all-seater. It's just a Premier League and Championship teams that need to be all-seater. And they have a mark next to each club based on how it's going to be working out. It's last updated on the 7th of May. So here you go. As we go down, you can see quite a few of the Premier League clubs are putting it in, or already put it in. Now, obviously, that's money. They have the money to do it because as we go down to the Championship, they haven't done it yet. They're thinking of doing it. It's a consideration, but it's not a priority because they don't have the money. The only teams they've got is Southampton, QPR, and Cardiff City. But interestingly, the clubs that have done it, quite a few of them have put it in for the away fans. And I think if Millwall were to do it, and it says here, no plans currently, monitoring trials, but CEO eager to introduce. But obviously the CEO's gone now, so will this be part of the new stadium plans? If Millwall were to do it, I think it would be for the away fans first because we get in a bit of trouble because they keep standing. That leads to the safety action group trying to restrict the fans. That's why this season you've seen a lot of the away fans not being given the north section, not being given the upper section, being given the lower section. Because if they fall down in the lower section because they keep standing, then they're not going to fall that far. Whereas if they're in the north upper and they fall, they could do what a Cardiff fan and do a little dive down below. So there you go. And I don't know if Millwall got sued for that. I don't know. Probably, it wouldn't surprise me this day and age. Like where there's a blame, there's a claim. The guy probably had 20 pints of fucking Stella on the train in, and he fucking through his own actions fell down into the bottom section, and then he ended up suing them. Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah. So I think if Millwall were to do it, it would be for the away fans first, and I think some of the home fans will be moaning and complaining like, why have they got it? Why have they got it? Why ain't we got it? But we'll see. If it does go in, probably go in south lower. I would suggest probably first, maybe, or maybe the east lower. But there you go. Now I have put a poll up. If you don't know. If you are watching this on a television, I don't think you can get this. And if you're on your computer, you have to click on it because I don't think it comes up. If you go to the channel, you go to community, you'll get tabs of posts that are like a post that I put up. And I put up a poll saying, would you want safe standing introduced at the Den? So, there you go. If you would, vote yes. If you wouldn't, vote no. And I think you can leave a comment underneath if you want to explain your reasons why. And on that note, thank you for watching and goodbye.